heart right out. Hey, what happened?
Welcome. Hi, everybody. My name is Dean. I'll be your host for this afternoon's extravaganza. Joined today by my friends. These are my friends. Lachlan Cross, 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton is where you can find him. My friend Lachlan Cross. My other friend, James DeFiore. Blackballed the podcast. You can find him at James DeFiore on Twitter. Hi, gentlemen. How are we today? Good to see everyone. Hi.
I am fantastic.
Welcome. Nice to see you. This is brought to you by our friends at Easy Auto Financial, by the way. Easy Auto Financial. The only way to get a car. Bad credit, no problem. They do this for free. For free. Everybody charges for financing, not them. Easy Auto Financial is where you go. It's super turnkey to buy a car from these guys. EasyAutoFinancial.ca. Domination.com, where you can do content in a lickety split, super fast, no dicking around. You know, it takes forever to cut a promo. It takes like minutes to do 72 of them. Go to dmntn.com today and try them for free. Domination.com is the name of the software. Also, hi to our friends at Blue Microphones. We use Blue mics. Most of us, all of us have access to them. Some of us use them all the time because we love, including these MoFi headphones and these Blue Yeti XLR mics. It's no problem. No problem, James. Not talking about you, baby. You're okay. And want to thank our friends at Ed's Fine Imports, his Gitch, the #1 luxury Canadian-made underwear, boxer briefs. Locke, I did some checking on these. They have the extra long pouch in the extra larges.
Fire those at me.
I will. I'm going to send you a few. Hi, guys. How are we?
I need a catch-all for the balls.
Da-da-da, da-da-da. You know, you noticed we had a promo the other day about balls.
Mm-hmm.
Like the testicular sack.
We talk about testicles a lot on this show for some reason.
Coincidentally, we talk about your testicles a lot on this show for some reason. And I just wanted to point out that the testicle promos don't do very well. I want them to do well. I want more people to talk about your balls.
They don't get shared as much.
No, people don't like them.
You left out the Walter Matthau impersonation one, so you know.
That's true. I did. So we're
Yesterday's
the number whatever newscast.
Yesterday's ball sack conversation that we had, though, was very funny.
It
was about what you could do with the skin of your testicles.
Your old man nuts.
Scrotum.
You know, we forgot
Remember
to
that?
do the one where you jump off a cliff and it's like those squirrel, you know, those flying squirrel outfits?
Flying squirrel. I would do that more if my balls caught that much wind.
Can you imagine if we evolved that way? Like a million years, all ball sacks are just these tools that we use for several different things. Like that'd be amazing.
I have a feeling
throw them over your shoulder like a continental
as evolution
soldier.
continues, we're going to lose our balls.
Yeah,
that's just a guess, but
figuratively, we're halfway there.
Yeah, some would say we're halfway there as a society. We got lots to talk about. We've got Doug Ford cramming his announcement. Do you guys want to go politics? Do you want to go?
Can I?
Do you want to go politics? Do you want to go?
How is your morning?
Sure, we'll start there. But tell me where you want to go after that. Do you want to go politics?
Politics.
Do you want to?
This will lead into politics. So
because we got politics, we got McDonald's. We've got the New England Patriots on deck today. We've got media behaving badly. We're going to call out the media, certain media outlets. No, we're not a fucking media outlet. You're kidding. Give your fucking head a shake. I said media outlets.
We're the number 2
blogs.
most downloaded news podcast, according to Apple in Canada.
News.
The best.
Are we still number
best.
2, or do we slip a bit?
I don't know. No idea.
I haven't looked. Yeah.
There's the Israeli one that keeps beating us.
No, Wall Street Journal usually is.
Wall Street Journal beats us?
Yeah, we kicked that Israeli one's ass.
Chris told me that if we don't do a show 5 days a week, that we're probably not going to remain in the top 10. So I almost feel like a sigh of relief when I hear that, though. You know, like I don't care, but I kind of do. Like I kind of
pressure's on.
Yeah, a little bit,
kind of thing,
yeah,
right?
I really feel it. Yeah, I really feel the pressure to keep up with all the news people. They look like they're having a great time. Anyway, I want to start with your morning, Lachlan, if you can, because you had a tough one, right?
Well,
real tough morning.
I got quite a few complaints this morning.
No way.
Well, here's first off, we were talking about ivermectin or what is it? Mectin?
Ivermectin.
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 Ivermectin. Okay, so
Ivermectin. Horse paste.
Now, it's actually a deworming pill medication for horses and cattle. We called a ranch supply store, and the guy was so pissed because you can just tell he's been dealing with calls all week. He's just like, it's not for humans. Buy, click. And then today, it's now the FDA is stepping in front of it and saying, hey, listen, you idiots, don't take this. This is not good for COVID. It's not approved for COVID. And so it hasn't stopped people from taking it. For some reason, people are terrified of the vaccine, but they'll go to a livestock store and buy something for horses.
Yeah.
Now,
lots of clinical trials.
I wanted to suggest out loud on the show today that if you're the type of person that takes this, I want to encourage you to continue to take it. I like that it's apple flavored.
Yeah.
And because the only way you are ever going to believe that this might not be a good idea is if you suffer some horrible side effect because you're taking a medication for horses. So anyway,
do you know what this does?
Had a guy. We had a guy call or text us, Derek, and Derek is suggesting that he takes it every day, and I don't know whether or not to believe him. But him and his father, who are ranchers, take this all the time. I swear to God. And then he also went on to suggest that he never gets sick from anything else, and lightly suggested that it might be the cure for the common cold.
Wow.
Lightly suggested it.
So anyway, I went on the air and I said, hey, listen, maybe I'm off. Like maybe I'm fucking crazy, or like maybe I'm wrong. Is there anybody that takes this shit? And let me know. And we got a couple. I swear to God. I don't know whether or not to believe them. Maybe
did they leave their names? Like when they called you and said, "Yeah, I take horse paste pills."
I got their names. I could actually log into the text service, go back and look and read some of them to you. Yeah, it's unfucking believable.
So when you called the feeds, because these are feed stores that have ivermectin, and just to kind of recap, listener, if you're not watching us on YouTube, Dean Blundell Show on YouTube or Dean Blundell TV on Twitch. Ivermectin is a paste, and what it is used for is it is literally put on a horse cookie, and they like squeeze cheese, and you give it to the horse, and what it is used for is it deworms the horse, meaning it kills it's an anti-parasitic, which means it kills any kind of parasite, any kind of worm, roundworm, tapeworm, whatever, worms. If you got worms, this is your business. But it's not for human use. So what's happening across the country, apparently,
where did this start?
Is this called like recently in the last few months?
Yeah,
because people were like, I'm still not getting it. I'd rather go to the feed store and get some fucking horse paste to get rid of all the worms in case I got worms. There is literally zero application for human consumption with this stuff. Feed stores have had to take it. You know how you go to Walmart and all the expense? Yeah, feeds. I talked to a dude at a feed store the other day. A buddy of mine actually owns a feed store in Sherwood Park, not far from you, just outside of Sherwood Park.
That's the one
and
I called.
Was it really?
UAP?
No, different one.
Okay, all right.
Just outside of Sherwood Park, Alberta. I've known him since I was a kid. And I'm like, tell me about this stuff. And he's like, here's the thing, Diener. He says, this stuff is like, if you take a teaspoon of it as a human being, it is so fucking powerful because it's meant for horses. It gives you explosive diarrhea and can cause abscesses of your GI tract. That's how powerful this shit is.
Then the demographic that takes it probably won't be able to tell that something's wrong. I would imagine.
James, let's not, Dean. Let's not discourage people from what might be a cure for COVID-19.
I wings a lot. I I eat ribs that are spicy. I don't know. I can't tell the difference.
Honestly, I think we should be encouraging the consumption of this on a regular basis. I'd say twice, 3 times a day, and get it in you. Listen, it's probably safer than the vaccine.
This is from our buddy Ryan at our Sheeple Shepherd podcast. Calls to poison control in the state of Texas were up 550% last week because of this. No joke.
Yeah. Now, here's the other thing that happened to me today on the show, and then this will segue into politics. This is quick. So we're back to masks as of Friday in Edmonton. The city of Edmonton is mandating masks in all public places. And
are people getting angry about it? Are people getting pissy? Are people a little crazy?
They were mad at what I said this morning. I said, hey, listen, you know what? It's a mask. I'll fucking wear it. I have the same philosophy. I can't go into a liquor store without pants. They told me to put a mask on. I wear pants and a mask to get my Ridge Pack every Wednesday.
Part of the deal.
Cheers.
Part of the deal.
So anyway, I went on the air and we talked about it in the news about the fact that this is happening. I host the Locker Room here in Edmonton, as well as joining Dean every day on this podcast. On 95.7 Cruise FM. And I said, hey, listen, I think we need to say out loud what everybody wants to say out loud, including your public officials, that this fourth wave is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And the reason why now I'm losing some rights, and it's not the end of the world, I'll wear a fucking mask. And potentially we could shut down in Alberta again if the numbers get out of hand, the ICU numbers get out of hand. I said it's because of 20%. So a minority, less than 20% of the population refuses to get vaccinated. So I think we should say that out loud, just that I think it's your fault. And we had a number of texts, a couple of calls, and
people get shitty about the truth. Like this is what I don't want. Listen, are they like, you tell them the truth. You're measured. Like, just so everybody's aware, Lachlan Cross has been a little hot about the whole fucking thing, and it's not about one side or the other for him. It's like pretty simple fucking math. Just put on a mask, go get vaccinated, and stop bitching and whining. But to hear you kind of go, yeah, you know, if I got to wear a mask, I'm going to wear a mask. It's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. And then to see people come after you now, like they're coming after us. And I'm talking, when I say us, I mean people who are just happy to live vaccinated, right? Not even people who shit on others all the time. Like, I've really dialed down the shitting on vaccinated or unvaccinated or partially vaccinated people because there's no fucking point. Yeah, just like today. So there's no real point.
But
right?
10 minutes ago.
Like, yeah. Like, I've been cool with them. They're cool with me. We're all cool. But my point is this, is that now they're bringing the fight to us, right? And it's working. Case in point, today we were supposed to have an announcement. Fordsie, our boy Fordsie, Doug Ford, may have heard of him. Tons of fun. Shit for brains, dickhead. I've called him a million different things. The premier of this province canceled his vaccine passport announcement today. Now, we knew about this yesterday. I started getting texts from some sources that work with Fordsie, and they're like, hey, no vaccine announcement. And I'm like, what's the deal? The guy's like, hang on, we're not sure if it's happening. It might be happening now. Because if you remember last week, big hubbub, vaccine announcement was coming. Fordsie didn't want to do it, wasn't interested in telling people that you should get vaccinated, or if you want to, live, getting vaccinated is important. We're in the fourth wave. Kids, like, he's abused the privilege of the office to that point. However, now that he has canceled the vaccine mandate announcement, which was supposed to be today, and this is fucking unbelievable to me. Not only did he cancel the announcement, he's actually been working pretty hard. If you remember this tweet yesterday, where I was really nice to this
really falls into your new philosophy.
Yeah. Where Laura Rosen-Cohen says, Ontario residents, if you would disagree with Ford Nation's plan for Vax passports, call the Premier's office. She gives the phone number. They are taking calls and counting the complaints in volume. Don't let Ford get away with this. Be polite and firm. So Fordsie likes this. Like, he's happy people are doing this. And I had a conversation with a guy in his office, and he told me today that Ford is encouraging, and Ford's family, specifically Ford's daughter, who I don't fucking get it. This is her This is her today saying, this is her campaigning against her dad on Instagram. Krista Haynes is her name, the crazy one. She's like, this is medical segregation. Stand up against my fucking dad. So the bottom line is the guy in Ford's office says Ford doesn't want this announcement. He's going to try and put it off. He's dragging his feet, which is exactly what happened today because the announcement goes too far and the restrictions go too far. So, because he said he's not interested in turning off a certain membership of his vote. So the vote actually was supposed to happen this afternoon. He's not even in town. Like, he refused to even come back for it, according to our sources. So he's not even physically here. And then when he got a draft of the vaccine mandate, he sent it back to the medical office, like the public health authority that was actually doing the mandate according to science, sent it back and was like, if you can imagine this, a guy who's dropped out of high school, dropped out of university, a guy that chain smokes his way through fucking like important fucking meetings, he's like, I don't like it. Send it back. Too much.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, he's zero fucking desire to do this, right? And it's closing in and it's coming, and it is still coming, but he didn't like how far-reaching it was, and he didn't like how strict it was, so apparently he sent it back. Him, not a doctor, not on the advice of physicians, not on the advice of senior people in government. He sent it back because he didn't like it.
And he has the power to do that, right, James?
Yep.
With this Emergencies Act?
I don't know if he has the... Well, yeah, he sort of does. The one thing that I found bizarre is that the group said that they were going to do it on their own, but they wouldn't have any legislative backup in order to justify it. That would have to come from the province. Yeah. So Doug Ford, the kingmaker in Doug Ford's leadership victory when he ran, when all that Patrick Brown stuff happened, were the religious extremists and the sort of far right mega Ontario kind of crowd. That they were the ones that put him over the top. And ever since then, there's certain issues that come around, and he's just kind of beholden to them. I think he knows that they are a side. The swath of that group is large enough to make him win or lose the next election.
Really?
But it's so, oh yeah, for sure. But it's so far away, the next election, that I'm a little bit confused why he would care about making certain voters happy now. Like, it's, it's so far away. And the only thing I can think of is just that he's trying to do that thing, that two-step, that conservative two-step where they have to dance between the batshit and the moderates in their party, right? But I didn't think I would ever see it. What are we, like a year and a half or a year or whatever it is before the provincial election? Maybe even 2 years. I can't even remember. So yeah, it's bizarre to me. Maybe he's just being nice to his daughter. He's that stupid. Like, he might make a decision because of that, So
it's it's so hard for me to believe that, and it was to the point where I was getting like these texts from the same guys that work with Ford, and they're like, hey, listen, just want you to know that Doug is legitimately holding this thing up because his daughters are upset and he's extremely anti-vax. He got vaccinated just cause. Like, he's not interested in this shit. And Christine Elliott, the Minister of Health, same thing. And I'm like, and I said to him, it was like last week when he told me this was, she is. She's anti-vax.
Minister of Health is
anti-vax. Doesn't believe in it. Thinks that people should be allowed, like healthcare workers. She's staunchly against mandating vaccines for teachers. Staunchly against mandating vaccine for doctors.
Is she overweight?
No.
Okay, we had a health minister in Alberta, and every time she was speaking, I was like, I can't be the only one looking at her going, health minister?
I
really,
know, right,
guys?
Yeah. Really, you're the health minister?
I don't believe
remember
someone that doesn't wear a muumuu?
We had a high school dropout that was our education minister in Ontario once. We really did. Snowballin, I believe his last name.
Did we really?
Yeah.
Well, they don't. I think that's one of the last ones they hand out, right? Like, so.
Yeah.
So if you're just at the end of if you're in
like a participation ribbon, really, at the end of the day.
All right. You were the last one elected.
Yeah.
Education. Go.
You get the education. Someone tweeted, they're like,
I
what
hear
happened?
Teachers are great to deal with.
Common sense party. Dean, get your common sense party back together. I'm like, I think we abandoned that after one podcast. We'd be terrible fucking politicians. Because I have no desire to do it.
Here's the problem with me is I think you have to have some semblance of caring about other humans. And if you are at all shy in that regard, like I am, like, I don't know if it works well. Like you like I've said before, like I want people to die. And I don't know if you can be a public sort of official if you're sitting behind the scenes hoping that a group of people die.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to be transparent about that, but because
I don't think you do.
I think I'd be good at the speeches and the cocktail parties if I was.
I would be too. I think we've said too much to get into politics. That's what I think. John K joins us. John, how are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hear you fine.
Yeah, good.
Good to see you. Great to see you.
Most important.
Locke just asked a serious question. Locke, can you pose that question to the editor of Walrus Magazine here in Canada, John?
Well,
same question.
I kind of know where John is going to go with this because
very
John,
former. Yeah.
Very former. Oh, you're not there anymore? I didn't know that.
Only for like 4 years.
Yeah.
It's not. Where do you work now? Sorry, dude. I messed it up. It's not Walrus. It's Quillette out of Australia.
I don't know. I don't know who's going to be more offended by that, Walrus or Quillette. Like it's actually like an interesting question.
Oh, it's the Walrus for sure.
Which of the two outlets would find that more?
Because Claire would just be like, meh.
Well, yeah, she's like that with everything.
Yeah.
Well,
you guys. Yeah.
So sorry. Locke posed a really serious question about because we're considering getting into politics ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Locke, if you could, go ahead.
It's super successful. Yeah.
I just said I don't think that I would make a very good public servant based on the fact that on a fairly regular basis, I hope large groups of people would just die, and I don't know if that's necessarily. Like
edgy.
That's not a level of empathy.
You're just telling it like it is, right?
Yeah. Well, our focus groups like your edginess, and we totally want to keep your phone number on file. But there's other people we want to talk to.
Yeah.
So just take a snack and head out the back door, okay?
Yeah.
We're talking.
I think you nailed it.
We're talking to a lot of people.
So, give me back that cabbie, Chet.
We're talking to a lot of people. Go ahead, John. Sorry, go ahead.
If I were making recommendations to anybody who's like really young, like university or in their 20s looking to get into politics, first thing is delete all your social media accounts. Like to me, the instructive example is, I'm not sure if you guys covered it or know of it, but there was this example, this woman who she was designated as the editor-in-chief of Teen Vogue magazine. And as you guys may know, Teen Vogue isn't like, well, it's about makeup and mascara, but it's like, it's also, they cover a lot of politics and social justice. It's very woke. And this person who was in their 20s, very skilled, happened to be a black woman.
I heard this story.
And then she lost her job like days after she got appointed because someone went back and found tweets from when I think she was 17. Like, I think she was still actually like too young to vote. And she freaked out on her TA. Like, it's kind of thing a 17-year-old is going to put on social media, like, my TA is so mean, and made like some mildly racist comments about the fact this TA happened to be East Asian. And I mean, yeah, like the comments were not okay, or whatever the vernacular is, like the sort of thing you walk back, say, oh man, I was so mad that I said those things. But this was 10 years old and she lost her job. And I'm thinking, like, if my dream, because you do meet student council types who really, like, from a young age, they really do want to be in politics, and some of them actually, it's interesting, some of them actually do end up in politics. I think my first piece of advice to them: delete all your social media. Like, it can't benefit. How's it going to benefit you?
I don't.
Yeah,
think
and if you can go back in time and fix like every mistake you made and every time you told someone to fuck off.
But telling someone to fuck off doesn't matter if there's no paper trail. The problem with social media is there's a paper trail, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, think we've all probably done bad things in relationships or things we regret or said stupid things.
I'm a complete
not me. Not me.
Okay,
at all.
yeah, you guys are all perfect. But if like, there's things I've put on social media that people get mad as John K is a bad person because he tweeted this. I'm like, dude, that is like that. Tweeting that was like the 187,000th worst thing that I've done in my life. It's just that the other things, there's no paper trail. And I think most people are like that. And if you have a blog and a podcast and you actually say things you believe, of course you're never going to be in politics. You're not going to be in politics. John Tory is the exception. John Tory had a radio show and he became mayor of Toronto. But that's maybe an exception because when you're on radio, you're already governed by sort of regulators and stuff. And you can't just like go off and say crazy things unless you're Howard Stern, I guess. So there are some, or like CBC types who are newscasters, they can become, but that's different. That's like kind of institutional media.
That's very different. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that sort of like an unintended consequence of social media? Because it feels like if you call someone a bitch in 2018, and the media keeps going back to it, it's almost like you're constantly standing on a hill yelling at the same person, calling them a bitch forever, like in perpetuity. Yeah. Was that something that they had thought of? I mean, was that just like, hey, interesting, developers, look what happened. Now everyone's getting mad at things that we said years ago. Like, I feel like that came up maybe 10 years ago, where, people started to be a little bit careful about what they said. And it never made sense to me why, oftentimes I'll have a little skirmish with someone on Monday and I forget they exist by the time Tuesday rolls around until a notification comes in, some straggler, arguing with me from yesterday. And I never go back to that, but everyone does, and now we have to wear it like an albatross, like every word we've ever said online. So I'm older than you. And I'm old enough to remember when the internet started up in the 1990s, and there were articles written, very earnest, serious articles that said, this is great. The internet exists. Now, we could spend all our time reading newspapers from around the world and learning new languages. And there were people, including me, who actually thought, it's not an unreasonable expectation that this thing called the internet, and it exists, and we're going to use it to, get pen pals, and it's all going to be very earnest, oh, what is your traditional cuisine? Oh, that's so interesting. My traditional cuisine. But of course, no one does that. It's just fuck you, bitch. And that's the internet. And we got our clip. But no, I don't think the people who invented the internet thought that's what would happen.
No, but
I was thinking more in terms of social media. But yeah, either way, I think it's the same answer though. But
part of me likes that. In as much as in case in point, your issue with Mr. Fizman this week, which I'd love to bring up.
I think it's Fizman. I don't think it's Fizman.
I don't care.
I think you just know what Fizman is. He's not named after
sounds more appropriate.
A candy or something like it.
Fizman. I don't. It's Dave.
Fizman.
Dave.
Fizman.
Can I call him Dave? Is it just Dave? Dave Fizman.
Dr. Dave.
Dr. Dave Fizman. So this guy interests me, and you interest me too. And we were talking about you prior to actually going on the show because you have no political affiliation. You'll just call out over dramatic stupidity when you see it, which I like. And one of the things that happened this week is Dr. Fizman removed himself from the science board, put on a toque, proclaimed to everybody he's part of the woke crowd, and then he put this whole thing up where he basically said, oh, here it is. Here it is. Sorry, I got the wrong one. Wow, this is the election platform that the conservatives put out, and he likened it to a Nazi slogan because Nazis used 14 words about securing their future, 75, 80 years ago. And his issue was, quote, this is the conservative platform. This election's about your future and Canada's economic recovery. He then says, wow, they've added secure future for children. They got the slogan exactly 14 words. So creepily, dog whistle. And you went after him saying, when Aaron O'Toole forces us all to speak German, historians will praise this man as the only one who warned us.
But it's so... First of all, I told James, unfortunately, by driving my kids to camp, I got to get off in a few minutes. But I will say, as Dr. Fizman, I wrote a column for the National Post today where I said, as crazy as this stuff is, and as much, by the way, as it casts into doubt a lot of his public health stuff that he did, because he made some pretty dubious statements that Jen Gerson called out in The Line, her publication, The Line, even before Fizman became Canada's version of Simon Wiesenthal. He, he's pretty nuts. But what I said was, in his defense, the allegation that mainstream conservatism in Canada is some kind of smokescreen for literal Nazis, or white power terrorists, because I think technically the 14 words, it originates in some kind of like white power terrorist group. Like the only people who, the irony thing is the only people who actually care about this stuff are progressives who are sniffing. Like I don't know a single conservative who knows about this shit, this racist shit, because like it's garbage. And the people who obsess over it are like progressive anti-hate groups that are convinced that every conservative goes home and reads this garbage. But anywho, like what he tweeted about the 14 words, it's actually like not that different from some of the overheated rhetoric you see about conservatives that passes for mainstream commentary, like Toronto Star, CBC, where everything is a dog whistle, everything is like Trump-like, and like Heather Malick of the Toronto Star, mainstream leftist newspaper, she wrote a column on Saturday, and she's not like Fistman. Like Fistman's wearing the tinfoil hat. She's like still in her saran wrap mode. She wrote a column in which she said, she was talking about how Aaron O'Toole scares her. And one of the things she said is like, well, he said he would raise the Canadian flags, which have been down since May, right? And that scared her because who else likes flags? She said in her column, you know who else likes flags? The people who stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. They also had flags. So do the math.
Way.
God,
No way.
She fucking needed an Uber to get to that.
But no, but the whole column is crazy. She also says he's like Trump because he served 12 years in the military. Because of course Donald Trump is distinguished by his fine military record. She could have used Wikipedia before that one.
And he wears a diaper.
But this was in a newspaper column. So, I mean, I jumped over Fistman. I mean, Fistman's tweet was super crazy. This idea that, like, if you take every sentence that's 14 words and say, oh, there we go, another dog whistle to the forces. I mean, it's clearly not so. And the guy's, to me, it's clinical, and I hope he gets help. But my point, this column I wrote today, it's not that different for what passes for mainstream political criticism of the conservatives, because when conservatives attack liberals in this election campaign, they say things like, oh, they've been charmed by Trudeau, or like, they're misguided, stuff like that. What I resent is that often when liberals attack conservatives, to them it's like about a character issue, and somehow you must have some moral issue that you're voting for the conservatives, you're an incipient Nazi. Like immediately they go down the slippery slope of craziness. And this guy, Dr. Fistman, he basically just kind of took it to its logical conclusion, which, yeah, it's nuts. But like I said, if you look on liberal Twitter, you see a lot of stuff in that vein, that there's like, secret agenda and fascism, and there's a heavy conspiracist strain.
Why? Well, why? Because why it's always centered around Nazis. Yeah. Like it is this and it's so I'm not very smart. It's in terrible fucking taste. Yeah, it's in terrible taste.
No one obsesses more about Nazis than progressives, because to them it's always, several steps, maybe sometimes just one step, like in this case, of argumentation from like, oh, you like this policy, I guess. You know who else liked that policy? A guy who became German leader in 1933. Like it's always in the background. And look, if conservatives also make crazy arguments. Like I remember when Obama was in power, people were like, "Oh, he's a communist. He has a secret plan to turn United States into a Sharia Muslim dictatorship."
Sharia
like
law,
it's all this crazy stuff. But
we still get that.
But in Canada, it's different, because in Canada, there is a sense, and not just among liberals, that the liberals are the natural governing party, and if somebody's going to vote for the conservatives, something's wrong with the universe, and there's some it isn't just the normal cycling of politics. There's some like cosmic disturbance, a historical disturbance, a kind of like a disturbance in the force, if you will, like and it's Darth Vader, and and who's Darth Vader? Well, it's the Nazis, and so everything, it just devolves immediately. Fascism, white supremacy, like we know the whole vocabulary of this, and especially since 2017, Canada 150, there's been an obsession about decolonizing this and decolonizing that. So it's all sort of meshed together. Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, so I think that's one of the reasons I think Trudeau expected this election would be a cakewalk. He would just mumble some of those phrases, and people would be like, well, certainly not going to vote for the guys in the German helmets, like I guess it doesn't work. I expected it to work. I thought the Liberals would have a cakewalk in this campaign, But I guess there's just, Canadians eventually, they've gotten tired of that shtick, I guess.
I think we reached a tipping point with Trudeau where I was saying to the guys yesterday that it feels like the mega crowd that are booing him and being really aggressive towards him. Normally I am embarrassed no matter what when people do that, but normally I would think also at the same time that it probably wouldn't work. I don't know if that's true this time. I feel like a low voter turnout.
I want them to stop though.
A low voter turnout plus this new group sort of being invigorated with a fire lit underneath them is just a bad combination. And plus everybody universally, probably even liberals secretly probably wish he didn't call the election because he hasn't stated a reason yet why he would. Like what was the reason that he gave for calling it so quickly with 3 years left?
Thought he could win. He thought he could win. Yeah.
That's exactly what I was saying.
But I would like to hear him answer directly, though. I just want to hear someone say, "Why did you call?" Yeah, I know, but I just want to see him squirm.
And I don't blame him for that.
To answer.
Look, I don't blame him for that because why does anyone call an election in a parliamentary system of government? Like
we're in a pandemic.
It's to win.
Pandemic.
We're in a pandemic. It's to win. I mean, that's like I don't blame him for that.
I didn't either. John and I are on the same page on that. I didn't get the oh my God, it's a pandemic. I didn't think that the people that would vote for him generally, like that are more liberal minded right out of the gates, I didn't think it would bother them, but or get mad at the fact that he thought he had a good chance of getting a majority government based on where the other parties are at.
I think that he put his party before his country. You don't call an election during a pandemic. It just, especially with so much time left on the mandate. If I was a liberal, that would have bothered me. It bothers me enough just to not vote for him anyways. But
before I go, can I just say though, the average minority government in Canada is, I think it lasts 18 months, right? So you can play that card now. And I don't think it's maybe bad faith to play that card because Jagmeet Singh, he likes what he's doing now. He has no power and he just makes social justice TikTok videos and he'd gladly do it for the next 3 years without an election. So, but technically speaking, it's a minority government. So you could say, well, I want a mandate, but a mandate to do what exactly? Like it's been kind of, anyway, I got to go. I'm sorry. My schedule was so weird today, but
don't worry about it. Happy to have you for the time that you gave us.
Happy to see you for the short time you were here.
Thanks guys. That was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to see you. That is John K. from Quillette, the editor of Quillette, not the Walrus.
Whatever vitamins he's taking, I need to get that. Like,
why is that?
I'm gonna get that cocktail. My God, he goes, Like he's firing
engaged.
Firing at all cylinders. I wonder if it's
know what I like about.
I think he takes ginkgo
biloba, maybe some garlic pills, some turmeric.
Could be Asperger's.
Yeah, maybe. One of the things that I like about him, if you
talking about the spectrum with this group,
is if you follow him on Twitter, is that he doesn't give two fucks about mainstream media. I think if you're not in mainstream media, you get. In case in point, if you remember this is from a couple days ago. Remember when Fordsie said he was going to have that vaccine passport announcement? And this is from literally August 25th. So the announcement was supposed to happen today. It's not happening because he's scared. We've already been over it. I don't feel like I have to do it. But we put this out 2 days before any major news outlet had it. On top of that, we also had another announcement on August the 11th, as you can see here. August the 11th, see that? So what is that? Like, what are we, 20 days now?
20 days? If we're counting.
And here is another one that we put out. Pro tip: Ford government hiding vaccine certificates till they have no choice in September. It is September. They have no choice. What's the date? July 22nd. Mm-hmm. Just for fun. I want to put this up. This is the global news. This is a fucking mainstream media outlet that has completely ignored everybody else that was saying the same thing, claiming it. This is an actual quote. The possibility of a vaccine passport for Ontario was first reported by Global News August 27th. Here you go. August 11th. July 22nd. And I'm not even fucking mad about it. That's the thing. Like I had guys from Global actually, and I won't tell you who, but a reporter from Global sent me a couple of texts. We were texting back and forth. He's like, what do you know about this meeting? What do you got here? What do you got there? What do you know about the vaccine passport? What's happening with Fordsie? And I'm like, I'm not telling you anything, dude. Like, I'm not going to give you my information. so that you can fuck me over and all the people that are working here because you just want to say you had it first. The
That
possibility of a vaccine passport in Ontario was first reported by Global News. What the fuck is wrong with media?
Plus,
that happens all the time. All the time. It happens to young journalists, especially who break stories or who are like hinting to break a story. It's happened to me several times. Often it's because you work for an outlet that isn't a recognized legacy outlet. So it would happen to me if I did work for. It never happened at Huffington Post, for example, but it would happen at like Pulp. If I did work for Post Millennial before they became totally batshit. And it just like, and this guy from the National Post would just continuously just steal our stories all the time. It got to the point where I had to tell sources not to talk to such and such from National Post. And then I get such and such calling me like, why are you telling sources not to talk to me? And I'm like, because we're breaking the stories, and then you're claiming that you're breaking the stories, and then the nice ones do what they did to you, Dean, where they call you up and they're like, hey, Dean, who are you talking to? Because that's just, news is crazy. Like, and then they try to get you to break, or they'll float a contract in front of your nose and then they won't give it to you. They're so bad. They just, I hate legacy media more than I think anything in the world because of that kind of.
Exactly what happened. You must have been in my DMs. That's exactly what happened. And the dude's like, hey, can you give me some more information? I'm like, no. And he's like,
James was also in John's medicine cabinet. That was very well delivered. Are you both on ginkgo? I should try this.
I'm on amphetamines. I really am. My medication is Adderall, so that's really what it is.
Yeah. And I was wondering, like, how fucking long are they going to continue to ignore, like, and say what you like about Jesse Brown and Canadaland, right? Yeah, how long are they going to continue to ignore, like, us, Canadaland, other people that actually know people on the inside that don't have a narrative, aren't trying to help a political party, or just here to fucking report information honestly and factually, right?
Yeah.
And I don't even fucking. Here's the thing, and that's the other thing. The guy's like, he goes, you know what? No one's going to take you seriously because you're not a news outlet. I go, that's fucking interesting. Then why didn't you have the information, and why are you asking me for it? Like, is that what your deal is? Like, and I give him credit for being honest. He's like, nah, dude, no one's going to take you seriously. So just give me that information and we'll help each other. And I'm like, I'm not helping you. I'm doing this
going to do for you. You should have asked.
I have no idea.
Said no. What would you? No, but just to see what he said, because like, for a guy in my position, one time Global, it's too long of a story what the actual story was, but one time at Global, the person called me on a Monday and was like, what do you have? And I'm like, well, I have something about this that answers that. And I wouldn't give her specifics. And she convinced me over the next 2 days. She's like, James, I got the contract all ready for you. You can come in and sign it on Thursday. It was like Tuesday. So we did 2 days of work and I did it on good faith. And then Thursday comes along. She doesn't call me until at all. And I call her at 3 and she's like, I'm just in my car going to pick up my daughter. What is it? And I'm like, the fucking contract, you bitch. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know exactly why I'm calling. She's like, oh yeah. I talked to them and they're just not going to do it, James. Really sorry. I went to bat for you, buddy. And then she publishes all of the shit that I gave her under her name, the next day. And
fucking wild.
Yeah. It's awful. Like,
we're getting to the bottom of maybe where some of James's grief comes from.
Lachlan, it's funny you say that because before we went on air, I'm like to Dean, I'm like, do you think Lachlan's mad at me?
I know shit. I
does he have I been put in the I don't care about him box because of my antics?
No. I was.
Go ahead.
I kind of. We don't need to get into it now.
No, I want to. Now you got to finish that.
I'm drunk. We should probably talk about this another time.
Dean, do your thing and tell him to talk.
No,
while the truth serum is.
Plus, it's a bit of opening the door, like a peek behind the curtain, right? For me, and then I mean, because we can get into it if you want. Do you want to get into it?
I don't think that my approach right now is totally peaceful. Like I have no
absolutely, but on once every 2 weeks or so, we get James doesn't get it and gets really like twisted out of shape, right? And
the last one
we're
was
all trying to recover.
Bitchy about getting cut off, like I just did to you. I was in a bad mood.
It did kind of start there, but it progressed into something else. And see, the thing is, like I sort of treat this like this is my sort of avenue to be amplified, right? And I don't live my life like this. I express my views like this behind the scenes. I'm not lying to anybody, but I can't be this animated all day long, right? So I kind of get that kind of the performance side of what we do.
Because I can be animated all day long. That's sort of the difference.
And for me, like if somebody cuts me off or tells a joke about me or whatever, I can roll with it because I'm doing this a long time, and I realize that's just for the show, right? And sometimes that doesn't make it to you. Like you don't get that. You take things personally, and it's not always. And sometimes it's after a big fight you had with your wife, and you're all fucking wound up when you get on. And I think Dean and I are on that level. And instead of it being about that, you make it about us being morning show dicks.
That's just my attempt at returning the joke in kind. Well, that was,
someone would call that your bailout point.
You guys operated in the same space for so many years in the sense that you had the same kind of gig, that you guys have like sort of a natural chemistry when it comes to broadcast. And so then the new guy, kind of raw, kind of like outspoken or whatever the fuck you want to say, is trying to find his space between you two. And most of the time it's fine. Most of the time it's great. You know what, really? I laughed so hard when I got off the show last time because the way you guys ended it, because I was sitting there and I was thinking about it for like 20 minutes after I watched you guys say all the things that he said after I left. And I was like, I had a eureka moment, I think, where it's like, once the person is gone in that situation, then you can just make jokes that don't have to be true. And it's awesome because you don't have the guy there to tell you how it's not true and how powerful that must have made.
I think we're getting to the bottom of why James wanted to talk about this, Locke, because he has some resentment to talk about from the last time.
No. It's not resentment. I didn't know that, like, okay, you know how like comedians will say like the following story is totally true. And then it's totally not true. I feel like I didn't know that radio guys did that too.
Yes and no. I think you're overthinking it. Like to me, what we're
I
talking
do not
about
text.
last
I've
week.
never texted you and said, "Why haven't you texted me back yet?" You know what I mean? And I think Lachlan, I've had 2 conversations out of the 100 podcasts for an hour after the show. So those are the kind of. And I was
but it's the exaggeration that makes it funny.
I know that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
dude, the second you hang up today, we're gonna go on a streak.
I'm never hanging up.
Terribleness. Yeah. Don't worry. We're going to figure that out.
That link to every Antifa person I know. Yeah.
Here's the problem I have with this conversation is that I also don't want you. Well, I also don't want you figuring this shit out because it's fun to toy with you. And I know that sounds awful, but
that's my thesis. Yeah.
You bring this unintended content to the. Did you see what I just did there?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah.
You bring this unintended content to the podcast.
That's right.
And you leave all wound up thinking that it's bothering Dean and I, and we fucking love it. Like Dean and I are like virtual high-fiving because you're like.
What text did I send you after the show last week where there was a kerfuffle? I sent you a text that said, "I love you no matter what."
No, that's not what I said.
I loved that whole thing last week. I'm like, dude, that was great.
Exactly.
Like you have no idea how much guys like us love it.
Those aren't the texts I was talking about. I like those texts. Those texts are the texts that make me feel like, oh, okay, it's still good. They're not going to.
No, but I'm telling you. I'm telling you that
take Mike on the podcast. Woo!
No. You got to be secure in that. Here's the thing: is that your problem is that you're not secure in the love that we have for you, and that kind of craziness.
Regardless,
you don't trust anybody. Like that's the thing is that you're like, fuck that. Like you get off a fight with your wife, you come on the show, you're like, fuck you guys too. We're like. We didn't fight with you. We still love you. And then towards the end of the podcast, I'm like, no one cares. Exactly. Like we don't care. Watching you be you is the most entertained I am in almost every single podcast because you're unique. It doesn't matter if you fucking snap or you lose your mind and you scream, hold on, everybody, I'm talking, because I love it. I fucking think it's hilarious. Like when, like, look at this. Conflict. This is a guy. This is our buddy Ryan. He's like, get the popcorn ready. Here we go again. Other people like it too, dude. Just embrace the craziness, which is you. I love it.
But then the problem, Dean, is I've got a James and a Jimmy. So my other show, I got a Jimmy, and he is never going to be smart enough to figure out his unintended content that he brings to the table.
Both midgets.
That's right.
You are actually. You are literally one head higher than him. So the problem I have with this conversation with James, and this is why I second guess it, and this is why I may have avoided you a little bit this weekend after the podcast that we had on Thursday. It's because James is smart enough to figure this out. I mean, it might be a nature over nurture conversation where it might just be in his nature to be this fucking dysfunctional right through the history of our podcast, but he also could be smart enough to figure it out and then start playing us, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
that started
why
weeks ago.
I'm
yeah, dude, you're missing a great opportunity to fuck with us. That's the thing.
Don't worry.
We just target it too.
Yeah, exactly. It's and you know what? It's not that difficult a job. Like, this is just us podcasting. So like, there's no one has to nail it. Not like in Afghanistan. Did you see this video today?
I did not.
The Taliban moved into a local news podcast, literally in the middle of the podcast. Watch this.
به نام خدا و عرض سلام و درود بر شما بیننده های شبکه جهانی افغانستان و ویژه برنامه پرداز باز هم شما را خوش آمدید.
Look at the two guys with semi-automatic weapons behind them.
We're not here to interfere.
Durka.
Just go about your lives.
Oh my god.
Look at, like, this is pressure. This is pressure. Us on a podcast talking about our dinks and launch balls and politics, that's not pressure. Having the Taliban stand behind you with a series of semi-automatic weapons in the middle of your fucking newscast.
That shot right there does remind me of me and then you two behind me. That's how it feels like sometimes.
I would be shitting my fucking pants. Yeah. Like, I've had some terrible program directors that stand at the door.
In control than I thought, but
did you see that? Look at this dude's face too. Look at his, like, the guy on the left. Look at his monobrow. It doesn't move the whole time. Look at it. His eyebrow goes from fucking temple to temple.
He looks like a puppet from the South Park World Police movies. He looks exactly like him.
I think that's a bit racist. I'm not sure though.
It's not. It's
what it looks like is he was given very explicit instructions that if this guy turns around and looks at you, you're allowed to shoot him. So he is just sitting there, like, trying to will it.
He's probably winning back his children.
Can you believe
hearing their release?
You know? This is crazy. You know what? One of the funnier stories I heard, and it's awful. We shouldn't be laughing about this at all because Afghanistan's a fucking gong show right now. But
we're laughing at a guy doing a national newscast with the Taliban standing behind him with M16s, staring at him like,
well, they're guaranteeing
comedy is comedy.
They're guaranteeing the truth. Like, we're making sure that you're not going to get lied to, everybody. So we're going to stand here with guns.
Yeah, trust me.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I fucking laughed my ass out. So that's my point, James. My whole point to you is, like, this is just for fun. We don't need to take it seriously.
Funny? Darren and I were going to fight last time but he didn't mention the Biden thing because he mentioned in our DMs that he's like, oh, I'm gonna talk about how Joe Biden was like a great hero this week, and I was like, oh shit. He's not going to like what I have to say about that, but okay. When people get credit for putting out the fire that they start, I don't know. You know?
I think they do. I think I give you full credit for even wanting to address it today because I had to run away from it. It was embarrassing.
What was? Confused.
Dean, you're going to make it bad again.
Week. What's embarrassing? I loved it. But dude, it doesn't matter. Like, nothing anybody says here matters, other than the shit that we tell you that we tell you it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he's making fun of you and I'm making fun of you, don't worry about it. Back to the Taliban thing. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Last week, and I don't know if there's any truth to this story, but I heard that the Taliban said stuff like, "Listen, we're a calmer version of what we are, right? Mm-hmm. Like we're going to be, we're going to do this, we're going to do that." And then they said, "And women, there isn't going to be any problems with the women. Just don't come out of your houses.
You're paraphrasing.
Exactly.
But it pretty much was that, yeah.
I'm paraphrasing, but that's what it was. They were like, we're going to be fine with women. They have rights. Just stay home.
Yeah. Well, what they really said was women have rights, but under the strictest of Islamic interpretations of Sharia.
Yeah. And the second the Taliban left, literally, this is them using Black Hawk helicopters, or second the Americans left, to hang people. No. If that's a better version of the Taliban, they're in fucking trouble over there. Holy shit. That is unbelievable.
There's no way. Not in the post-ISIS world, there's no way a Taliban is going to be moderate or anything like that.
Hard to watch, isn't it? You know what else I was really upset about this week? And we'll end with this. Did you guys see the McDonald's teasing of the McPizza? Did you see that this week? So excited for them to bring pizza back. Like, I was really stoked. I'm like,
dude,
pizza back, McPizza.
Thank you.
I'm teasing the announcement. Everybody made fun of me.
Spirit.
I'm like, yeah, I hoped it was a McPizza. Like, they're teasing it. You've asked for it. New tweet coming up, and I don't follow any fast food restaurants. I just don't, because to me that's like giving up, right? If you follow Arby's, or if you follow McDonald's, you're like, I just can't wait to see what the new menu items are at this place.
I follow Arby's for the deals.
I'm sure you do. But this announcement
2 for $5
wasn't a McPizza. They strung us along. This is what they're doing. Fucking spicy nuggets.
Yeah.
Spicy fucking nuggets. The whole week.
And all everybody wants is the McPizza.
That's it. That's it. If you look on Twitter, it's like, I hope it's the McPizza.
Okay, let me ask you guys a question.
Shamrock shake. Just give me the McPizza. What, do they fucking not listen to people? Do they not listen to people when they're like, hey, what should we do? We should bring some back. Let's bring some. I've never seen the spicy nuggets. I don't want the spicy nuggets. Nobody did. Like, all the guesses I saw, I was like, hey, I hope it's fucking more spicy chicken, right? No, everybody wanted the McPizza and nothing.
Yeah.
Huge loss for McDonald's. Major.
Grant was mad this morning. I'm like, I don't know if we should talk about this right now. You're really upset.
What the fuck? Why do you guys care?
Okay, let me ask you guys a question.
The closest McDonald's, by the way, is an hour drive from where I am. But anyways,
where do you live?
Killaloo.
In the woods.
Jesus, there's no McDonald's there?
No, Jesus, no.
Why do you hate yourself? Like, honestly,
I work in Biz Bay, and people come into this store that I work at, this hippie store sometimes, and they come in and they're like, "Yeah, where can we get like an authentic like meal?" And I'm like, just start laughing normally because there's no place. I'm like, listen, let's put it this way: it's authentic pizza you're gonna find is a pizza. That's the most
pizza
you'll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We have nothing. We have nothing here. So, but
do you remember? No. Okay, you got guys. Be honest with me. So I'll start with the McRib conversation. Like, I remember the McRib and being like, it's okay. It tasted like the middle bone part stuff bothered me. I wasn't a big fan. So anytime anybody flipped out about the McRib, I was always like, really? Okay, but the McPizza, I don't know why, I have very fond memories of this fucking thing, and I can't understand why they don't bring it back. I thought it was good.
Don't you think that really McDonald's sells? They don't really sell per se. They sell nostalgia. Like, they get you when you're a kid. You love the fries. You love the way the pickles, onions, and ketchup sort of mixed together on the hamburger.
Yeah.
You love the Big Mac sauce and stuff like that. And then you get older and you're still kind of liking it. I think it's just all a reminder of our childhoods. I think they just sell nostalgia, and that's it.
I don't know if he's wrong, right?
I don't know if he isn't either, but I was just looking through some of the some of the actual like discontinued items, and McPizza's on there. They did chicken fajitas for a while. They were delicious. I remember those. The McDonald's Big and Tasty. Do you remember that? They had the Big and Tasty for a while. Yeah. They had the fish McBites. They had the Arch Deluxe. No, you didn't.
I
Have
I
remember
remember
the
the
Arch
Arch
Deluxe.
Deluxe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It was just
Yeah.
a brioche bun, wasn't it? The Arch Deluxe, wasn't that all it was?
yeah, it was.
Ah,
It was like a BLT with like a brioche bun. The McHot dog that happened in '95. I remember.
I
The
don't
McHot dog.
remember the hot dog for some
Oh
reason.
yeah, dude. They had the McHot dog. Then of course in the late '80s they had this thing called the onion nuggets.
Okay.
Jesus.
Terrible. Angus
I don't
burger.
remember that. The
But
Angus
the-
burger,
and-
I remember.
And there's two locations that actually sell the McPizza still, and they're both in West Virginia.
Oh, okay.
Both of them. But that is like the number one. I was just looking at the number one item that people want back at McDonald's. McPizza was number one.
But if James is right, if James is suggesting that this is not even a food store, this is just they're selling memories, a nostalgia store. Why wouldn't they do something like bring back McPizza? I think they got to do it at some point.
It's probably a price thing or something. I happen to know, it's a weird fact that the reason why Pizza Hut pizzas are so greasy is because when they started out, they were cast iron pans. And so they had to like put oil on them. And then they did a cost benefit analysis for changing all of their pans from cast iron to something more slippery so they wouldn't have to be so greasy. And it would have like basically put them under. So maybe it's like a cost analysis thing with the pizza. Maybe
You know a lot about Pizza Hut pizza.
I knew a guy that owned a Teflon company, and I told him.
Did you really?
Yeah, and he told me about it.
Here's one that I've never seen. McSpaghetti.
what?
Have you seen McSpaghetti?
That's got to be in another country.
See, none of these existed when we were young for a long time, so we don't care about them. There's no product that McDonald's has come out with in the last 20 years that we're all like, yeah. It's all the classics. And that's because we had our Happy Meals and we were like, yay, McDonald's. And that was it. We were trained.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, they missed the fucking boat. I agree with Grant. The McPizza was maybe one of the best pizzas that we've ever had.
Well, and
still don't even understand why they're not doing it.
He loves the McRib.
As an Italian, I'm just waiting for you guys to stop talking about pizza.
Listen, nobody loves the McRib. He's the only person
He
in the whole
loves the
world.
McRib, I'm telling you.
You want to bite into a fucking thing that's got a bone in the middle of it?
It's
all the way up?
40%
It's a
cartilage.
sandwich with a fucking bone in it? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a cartilage.
He loves
dog.
the McRib. What about the McLobster? Has he had the McLobster? Is anybody here?
We did.
That doesn't
I
exist.
went and had it.
So good.
It's
So good.
It was so gross.
It is so good.
Are you
It
trying
is
to get a
so good.
sponsor? Dean?
McLobster's the fucking best. No, I'm not
No,
trying to get a sponsor.
McLobster was awful. You got to stop saying that because they might bring it back ahead of McPizza, and then where were we at? A stinky fish sandwich, mind you. It might have been the Alberta, the proximity to an ocean that might be the issue with the McLobster in Edmonton, Alberta.
Probably, yeah.
And I thought it was just they were just trying to cover it up with mayonnaise. Remember how thick the sauce was?
Yeah, it was. It was like
Yeah.
it was like a tuna. It was like a tuna sandwich, but it was like worse. Yeah, actually, come to think of it, maybe I didn't like the fucking McLobster. Maybe
was
maybe I'm
awful.
lying.
No, it was
Yeah,
awful.
actually, right. Yeah, I don't like the McLobster.
Way too much
Anyway,
fat
I'm glad
guy
we-
juice. And you're not going to hear me say that lightly because I am a sauce guy. Like I go into half my meals with the sauce in mind, right?
Last but not least, half of my meals are based around sauce.
It's like you're leaving with your uniform on and your fucking bayonet. I'll be back.
I've never heard anybody say that. Guys, I'm
hugely
based around
motivated by dip.
sauce.
He's got like a bat. He's got like a bat belt with all these little sauces in there.
Yeah. I got a couple of rules, man. If it's on the menu and it has a dip, I'm getting it. And
I'm going to
never
send you a
ignore.
hemp fanny pack, and it will be strictly for sauces. Okay?
Thank you. And never ignore advice from fat guys on food.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I mean, if a fat guy gives you advice on something, you get up
He
out of
knows.
your chair immediately and drive to that place.
Yeah, thanks, Locke. I you know what? I don't mind a good dip myself. I might have to rethink my dip game. You're right. Thank you. Thanks, boys. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
Well, that was fun. That's a quick
Hey,
one.
Lachlan, have you stopped your signature?
I should do these.
Is that over now? Is it like a
I
rotator
saw
cuff
it one
thing,
day and
or-
it looked a little, well, shall we say, Nazi-ish. So I was like, maybe I don't need to be the whitest guy in the podcast doing the goose step in the back.
You're the reddest guy, not the whitest guy.
Yeah, he's got beer to drink, so we'll let you go. Lachlan Cross, 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton is where you can find him every single weekday morning, or on Twitter at Lachlan Cross. Great to see you. James DeFiore as well. Blackballed the Podcast is where you can find him. Go and download it wherever you get your fine podcasts, including at DeanBlundell.com. And at what's wrong? What are you doing?
My rotator cuff when I did the Lachlan.
Did you? That's when you know you're old. Huh?
Yeah.
So when you put your arm up for the first time in a show and you're like, ooh,
yeah,
hurts.
Should have stretched, James.
I never raised my hand in class. Okay.
Good to see you guys. Thanks so much for being
Take
here.
care, boys.
All right. Take care. Lachlan Cross, James DeFiore. That is it. Wade says, I never got drunk enough to eat a McDonald's pizza. You didn't need to be drunk to eat the McDonald's pizza, Wade. It's a delicious pizza. Still can't believe they fucking faked us out with the spicy nuggets. What a joke. Spicy nuggets. It's the fucking McPizza, dude. It's all you need. Just bring in the McPizza. It's so easy. I got a whole bunch of just boom, in the air fryer. Boom, you're done. It's so easy to do. And everybody wants it. God, it's like Canadian politics. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for being part of the show, and you can download everything we do at DeanBlundell.com. Sign up for a newsletter there as well. Thanks to our sponsors and friends over at Ed's Fine Imports, his Gitch, #1 luxury underwear in the planet. Get Ed's Gitch today. He's got the pouch of the front, boxer briefs made for every man, moisture-wicking fabric developed for performance, durable, resistant to piling, fly-hole, super soft fabric. But I cannot stress enough, the pouch where your junk goes in, keeps you breathable and fresh. Ed's Fine Imports, Gitch3 is your promo code. Send you a free pair when you order 3 of them. Clothing for men and boys there too. Peruse their entire lineup. Speaking of perusing, how about peruse your friends and neighbors over at Easy Auto Financial? Everybody's using them. These guys get you a car and your financing. EasyAutoFinancial.ca is one-stop shopping for a vehicle and your financing. No obligation. Totally free to try. Totally free to use the service. They'll get you and hook you up with the car that you want, the dealer that has it, and the financing that is right for you. Go to EasyAutoFinancial.com today, or .ca rather, for more details. Also, our friends at Domination. Making content's never easier with Domination. DMNTN.com. Use them like we do to produce content in minutes instead of hours. It's your best friend. It's ours. My buddy Chris uses it all the time. Says he can't live without it. Joe, that nerd dad, can't live without it either. Go to DMNTN.com for a chance to try them out for free today. Domination. It's artificial intelligence for people that produce content. And our friends over at Blue Microphones, go to bluemic.com for more details on how you can buy your brand new microphone, brand new headset, brand new microphone, brand new camera from your friends at Logitech, because Blue is a Logitech group of companies. That's all we use, including this Blue Yeti X mic and these MoFi headphones. Try them out today. Go to bluemic.com, at Blue Microphones on Twitter. The DeanBlundell.com podcast network, part of the Blue Crew. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for being part of the show. See you tomorrow.